Hi again. This is called Respect and Displays of Respect. So I think it's born of when you first meet somebody, but you've got a little bit of background information on them. So you've read the ILP, the Independent Living Plan, and you've had it all mapped out to you how to interact with the client. You've had a brief introduction from your supervisor. So then you meet the client. So have a brief encounter with the client. They know that you're coming on as a new staff member and you're going to be around for a long time, and assure them you'll check in with them later. Go and read the ILP and have a look at how it's written. Generally, I like ILPs, which we'll talk about that later. There's a good formula for independent living plans, which is very helpful and can be really comprehensive. But have a look how that's written, if there's any instances of age inappropriateness in describing the client or participant, any heated or pointed notes, just take note of those. And past events, so getting to know the client's past and things that have happened to them. You can have discussions with colleagues and people who've known them for a few years, and you'll meet their parents at one stage, hopefully, or their sibling, and be curious and inquisitive about past events in the client's life. Just retain some stuff to memory, 5 or 6 or 7 other things about the client that you'll have discussions about as you're getting to know the family and the client themselves. So past events are a wonderful thing to have as part of your toolkit when you're working with people in residential settings or So seeing behaviour antecedents, so being able to know what sort of makes a client unhappy or may not be to their liking, but they might need to let us know about. So just being aware of those sort of things, those deep dislikes. I've got some, you've got some. If we're aware of our client who can't voice his dislike the same, or he or her can't voice their dislike the same as what we do, but certainly something needs to be said if they're ever exposed to something they don't like. So giving the client the empowerment to speak up, and letting them know that you're there to hear them and listen and be very attentive on your 6 to 8 hours of support work that you do with the clients out in the community or in home. Just be attentive, be very attentive, stay off your phones, and just get stuck into building relationships with people and having a good time for one, and just really enjoying what that means. So who are people happy with? Just get an idea of that. So who are they most comfortable with? You've noticed that they're comfortable with certain folks, and make that happen, and make sure that you help facilitate those sort of meetings for the client. And really foster those relationships that are outside of your own that are noticed and that of a great benefit for the client. Promote those, or how's this person, and sort of pump that friendship up, because it means the world to people. And show respect and dignity. So showing respect in so who walks into a room first, if you have to adjust something on their clothing, just check in with them briefly and ask permission to do that. So if you've got to adjust their collar or whatever, just ask permission. Treat that as you would. If they need to check in with them, see if they need to go to the bathroom, things like this. Whether they're comfortable, whether they're sitting comfortably, taking good notice. Also maintaining dignity with clothes appropriateness. So my pet haters sweatpants for people out in the community, but some people really like that. But just helping people to get dressed well and be well groomed, and pants pulled up, things like this. That I think that's a really good way. But always checking in with the client if you're going to help them or touch things of a close nature, adjusting things. Just check in with them first and see that that's okay by them. Yep. So I'll go into personal care in another one, but in practical ways, how do we sort of show that we're providing dignity and respect in our interactions to the client. So there's a process around personal care for washing and drying and things like this, which I can step through. I think that's an episode that'll be stepped through, and it's a good way to it helps to maintain a practice of that's really quite beneficial for both the support worker and the client, I think. So I'll go through that. But be the exception. Be the exception to the other caregivers that have come before you, and light the path for others. So things you notice. Advocate for your client. Check in to see if it's okay with them if you share information about them. Do that actively. But just let the client know that you're speaking on their behalf as well, and that pumps up the relationship and shows a benefit and a respect. Celebrate key events, so birthdays, when people have passed away, even in their past. Celebrate these. Be curious, be inquisitive, and you can count them down on a calendar with the client or participant. Having that ritual around yearly events and family ties is of great benefit and builds good, respectful relationship for the support team as well, if they've got a calendar to go by with that sort of gravitas for the individual. So more interaction with family. You've got to get to know the family well. And check in with them and make sure they're comfortable and have some sort of dialogue with them often, whether you email them, contribute to a team leader who emails the family, however it works. But you in your daily, as they pop by the homes or the settings, as they pop by, you'll have these interactions with them, and so be able to say hi and sort of how you're going, and be curious and inquisitive about their loved one that's in your care. So that's names to the face, all that sort of stuff. It's very, very beneficial. It's essential for the client well-being is the family engagement, and it's essential for the support workers' well-being as well, to know that to feel like they're contributing to the well-being of a family unit as well, not just the individual. So that's where things have fallen over in the past, is people aren't seen in the family unit because often the family is older and isn't as ambulant, so doesn't get to the care team as often. But there needs to be a way to link the care team and the family somehow, whether it's an updated email, things like this. People can't travel, people haven't travelled. It's been a mess in some areas, but for the care worker to and the support workers to remain deeply curious about the family and where they're from is essential for the client well-being, and it's essential for the worker well-being. talk to, so I can go on about that. How to talk to clients. So equal terms, how we'd like to be spoken to. That's the key here. Eye contact in some cases, with cultural competence, previous video, is the thing as well. But generally, just being curious about how that person communicates, what they're comfortable with. For people with a great aversion to eye contact and a bit of trauma background, you'll have that sort of briefing anecdotally as you come on board to work with the client. So that's a different approach. All I'm saying is getting to know the client with a greeting and being very sort of curious about how that person communicates and what they're interested in, what makes them happy, and whether how you are going to bond with them. When you're out in public, please just walk alongside of the client, just alongside, never in front, never behind, never on your phone out in public. You need to just be. It's something that everybody needs to know. Don't be on your phone in public. The client needs it. It's essential to the client that you're not on the phone. And that'll make sense when you're out there. So when you're out in public, walk alongside and stay off your phone. And make sure you're hydrated, caffeinated if you need to be, well fed, and the client is the same. When you're out in public, maintain a status of well-being with pacing it, having some food and some water on hand. Snacking even is a good way. That shows respect and dignity out in the community, being cared for. Yep. So you can carry things around with you, do so. A backpack is sufficient. I find 1 to 2 clients, maybe out, and I can do community access on here later too, but that's how, yep. So a foundation of well-being needs to be maintained. Yep. So, and sort of gauging where the person is at in their energy level. So keeping things low energy, low fire, keeping walks to a minimum. Just keeping it brief but varied. Mission in the morning, mission in the afternoon. If you're at a day program, then you'll need to mix it up. Yep, and go to other environments and split the groups up as well in day programs. I can talk about day programs as well. Yep, but keep the energy appropriate for the clients. Yep, and the attentiveness needs to be there for every client. It needs to be the same across the client board. Across. Everybody needs the same amount of time with the support worker, and even multiple support workers if there's an outing or things like this, or in the day program. Okay. So high energy when in private. So keep things really pumping along when in private. So keep it jovial, keep it warm, keep it professional, keep your boundaries professional. Don't hug or things like this, but just let the client know that you're going to match their energy and you're going to lift their energy. That's what you're paid to do, is lift energy. Try to think of your job like that. I go into energy. So be aware of the client energy and be aware of what they can cope with. Yeah. Make sure that your services are expedient and well delivered, and you deliver these messages strongly to your client, that you're with them, that you're going to show respect. Talk about respect, talk about dignity, talk about invasion of privacy, things like this. You can talk to your client about these, and that highlights the discussion that it's around. So these are very beneficial. You can talk to your team about this. Respect and displays of respect. Respect and displays of respect helps deliver the service. So making things age appropriate, so age appropriate wear, footwear, clothing. You need to think about how you're going to help the client in a respectful way with those things. How to address, whether it's first name, you could do a Mr. So-and-so or Ms. So-and-so. You could do one of those occasionally. Keep it jovial, how you address. But professional boundaries. See yourself on an equal footing and get along on those terms. Just try to, share values. Talk about your dad. Talk about your, in private, have those conversations. Friendly, convivial, sort of happy conversations about relationships and how they affect you. So sharing values is where it's all at. So you'll show that person respect by sharing the same value as them. So sharing values shows respect and maintains dignity, and it's essential for client wellbeing and team wellbeing. Okay, thanks a lot.